Hello and welcome to Rally FC. That's right, Rally FC, the Ghostwriter podcast on the Flying Cow. My name is Clay Johnson. I am your host. But like I've said before, we are in the last couple of episodes. In fact, this is the final review of Ghostwriter. So, instead of bringing in completely new guests and blowing their minds with this weird show from the 90s, I have decided to bring back some of my favorites. And rounding us out here today, we have Adena Broomer and Allison Mitchell. How are you guys?
Woo! Doing good.
Very good.
Thank you guys so much for coming back. I do have to ask, because you guys have now watched this show for me twice. So is it better than I think it is sometimes, or are we just really good friends?
I'm going to say, because I watched the first few episodes, and now that I've watched the last few episodes, the show did indeed get better.
Okay.
It did. And I wrote down a lot of things about the things that I liked, but then there is stuff on this show that is like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
So it's not the worst thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've only watched the episodes that you said, hey, watch. And there are moments where I'm going, okay, 90s, I see what you're doing. And I teach middle school. And so they're like, it's so accurate. It's so accurate. And I just giggle going, oh God, that's so middle school. So that part of the writing is excellent. And I agree. I think the acting now I loved the storyline of the last one better. It was just really fun and unique in the costume design. Yeah. But the acting definitely has gotten better. And they make like really good points, but yeah, there are also equally as many moments where I'm going, I hate you a little bit, Clay, but
I get
I said I'd do it, and I'm better for it.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I will say that I feel like, now, you mentioned the acting. Obviously, unless the kids just aren't trying, they're going to get better as they get older. But I will say, in terms of story quality, I feel like our peak was probably a few stories back, and now we've kind of dipped again. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, this is one of my least favorite stories of the Ghostwriter run, and it's the last one.
What a shame.
Yeah. It's a little dull. I love the concepts and the tips they actually talk about for kids for writing are spot on.
Yeah.
And the concept's cute, but yeah, the last one may have been in season 3. I don't remember what season it was, but I agree. There's moments where I'm just going, can we escalate the storyline?
Yeah. Well, and also, and we can discuss this as we go on, but I feel like, because this episode is different than any other episode, because most others set up a mystery and then the kids have to solve it with the help of Ghostwriter in one way or another. Often the mystery is formatted in completely different ways, but that's usually the format. This time, there is no mystery. They're telling a story. Like, that is the whole setup of it. And I definitely feel like they knew, at least by the beginning of this episode, that this is the last one. So let's just do something fun and goofy, and let's not really try to, do too much here. Let's just have fun with it. That's really what this feels like to me. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the story. We are talking about story arc number 18, Attack of the Slime Monster. And the basic premise of this one is this is our one and only, well, kind of Casey-led story. She at least starts it. Basically, the entire idea is that Casey has a doll called Gooey Gus, though you wouldn't know that if you don't pay much attention to the first couple of episodes, because after that, they just keep calling him the slime monster. But apparently there is a contest that is going along with Gooey Gus. There is a contest to write a scary story. And so basically Casey has already started writing, and the team decides to help her. That is part of the rules, that they can do so. So each team member takes turns telling a different part of the story, and we basically just follow them as they do so. We also discover they just keep dropping it in every once in a while. 3 of the kids are graduating from middle school. Like I said.
Yeah, what a rite of passage.
Yeah.
There's a love subplot.
Oh, yes. We're definitely going to talk about that. But that is the main storyline, is the Gooey Gus story, and randomly Jamal, Lenni, Lenni and Alex are graduating from middle school. They just decided to throw that in at the beginning, and they mention it a few times.
Cover it in.
Yeah. Like I said, I think this was like a last minute attempt to do a series finale. So they're having some of the oldest leads graduate from middle school. The team obviously would have been different had they carried on after this, but you know, kind of an ending of sorts.
Definitely got that kind of closing feel.
Yeah.
And I see what you mean, because it, I could have seen something where it could have continued, but it does. From the beginning, with the fact that they're 3 of the main characters are graduating,
right,
you kind of get this, okay, we're getting to the closing of this series.
Right. Well, and especially since the beginning of season 2, they've kind of made the middle school their focus. I don't know why, but that was kind of something that they just decided to do. And so now that, 3 of the leads, who I believe at the beginning of the series were just starting or close to just starting middle school, are now ending middle school. So it's the end of the journey we saw them begin. But yeah, so, I mean, like I said, that really is the first scene of the episode, is Lenni talking to Jamal and saying, "I can't believe we're about to graduate middle school. Introducing plot."
That was a pretty accurate impersonation too.
Thank you.
Like, that was pretty spot on right there.
Yeah, I've been studying my Blaze doll. Yeah. But pretty soon after that, we also established
Their acting degrees are confused.
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry. My computer cut out.
Oh, you're fine.
Yep.
Okay.
I had said I'm really glad we're getting to use those theater degrees now.
Right?
Yeah.
I knew they were good for something.
Right.
But we also established that Casey is in the room, and as Lenni is walking around, Casey sneaks up on her. She turns around, and there is a horrible monster in her face. And we're going to talk about this doll because this is the thing. Ghostwriter is one of those things that's really hard to find anything about online. That you'll find like a couple of articles here and there. There is actually a Ghostwriter wiki. I get a little bit of information from there, although it's not comprehensive, because every once in a while I'm like, is that a guest star? And they've got nothing about it. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, there was a bit of a guest star on this one.
Yes.
Hello.
Do you know who it is? Because I couldn't.
Yeah, C.C. Peniston. And I was like, what? So we're just going to say C.C. Peniston and then we're just going to leave it? That's it?
Okay, we're going to talk about that scene, because that scene mystified me. But yeah, I mean, I think it's simply because, either the people that made it didn't know about certain guest stars. I mean, there are very often guest stars who were big in the music field at the time and things like that. And maybe they're...
And she's one of them.
Sure.
But they didn't do anything with her.
Not musically, that's for sure. You know, what are you going to do? But what I was saying is that there was, when I was looking up specifically for this episode, there is one thing I found. There is a video that a girl made basically talking about how much this episode scared her shitless as a child. Yes, and apparently it is like a thing. Like, this episode is known as being terrifying for... Now, I mean, I will say I watched this when I was 12 or 13. So by that point, I was just like... I honestly, when I first saw this episode, didn't like it. I thought it was stupid. But I'm imagining, like, a 7 or 8-year-old or even younger watching this for the first time. I guess it terrified them. And it's like a thing. But
that's hilarious.
I didn't get it. But
I mean, the doll aesthetically is a little terrifying.
It's gross looking, that's for sure.
But also, it looks like, I kind of love it because it looks like a middle school paper mache project.
Sure.
But I can also see how that will haunt your dreams.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the Dr. Ooze character from the Power Ranger movie in the
Ivan
90s.
Ooze, yeah.
Yeah, Ivan Ooze, that's it. And I will say, because I was about the right age when I saw that. I was probably 10. And Ivan Ooze did kind of, I wouldn't say terrified me. He gave me like the heebie-jeebies.
Sure.
And it's kind of the same concept. So I can see that. For a small kid, I could see that.
Sure.
Well,
and the idea of Gooey Gus is that he's basically a gum monster. Like, the backstory that Casey gives him is that, like, basically somebody wasn't paying attention in the gum factory and it got too hot and there was a big explosion and what was left over but a walking, talking gum monster with a red shirt and an overcoat. I will say this thing is very stylishly dressed. And I guess there is a button that Casey can press that he can say several phrases, but there's also a button that you can press and he spits out ooze. It's this real gross, like, looking slime thing, and I guess you're supposed to catch it and then eat it, which I would never have done as a child, because that stuff looked disgusting. But apparently it's gum. I don't know really how that works.
That can't be good for your body, and the fact that it actually does come out looking like the slime that kids play with now.
Yeah.
And if that's supposed to be gum, there's a scary chemical reaction going on in your stomach.
Yeah, it's not good.
Go eat lead. Like, that probably has the same effect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not good. Not good. There literally was a shot where we show Lenni catching the ooze and then putting it in her mouth. And I was like, Lenni, no, don't eat that. That's gross. But yeah, like I was weirded out by that. But, you know, like I said, the kids seem to think it's all right. So Casey introduces the concept of this contest. And basically, it has to be scary, but there's a limit on violence. I will say, I actually, when I was about Casey's age, was given a very similar thing at school. And I won the contest because I was the only kid in the class that didn't include some sort of, like, dismembering or something like that. After they said, don't do that. I will say, though, all I did was write down a campfire story my mother told me. So I'm not sure, you know, violence or plagiarism, which is better.
It's online.
Yeah.
If only you had plagiarized violence, you could have just knocked out 2 birds.
I mean, I will say I was fully open about the fact that my mother told me the story, and they were like, that's fine, you win. And I was like, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for reading the instructions.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great.
Well, at that time,
great.
I was probably like the only kid in the class that was like, I don't like horror movies. I don't like gore. Honestly, it's really only been recently that I got into horror movies. So, yeah, it's just me.
So what you're telling us is you really identify with her on this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we're not going to go too in depth into the story that they actually tell, because honestly, it's not very good. Casey's bit is basically about, a prank war that Jamal and her are having. And then, Lenni takes over. And did you guys notice Lenni got to tell the story for like a sentence? And then Gabby and Alex came in and Gabby took over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lenni had to fall in love. So Lenni had subplot. She had the B plot, so she couldn't write the story anymore.
Right. Well, and so much of her time was taken up with Casey explaining what was going on that, Lenni had a similar amount of screen time, but just not as much story time. But I will say, did you guys notice that there was a completely new Gabby?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Adena doesn't remember this show. Because Gabby was like your favorite.
I'm old,
Sure.
okay? And I don't remember shit. So I apologize to new Gabby.
It's fine.
Well, the only reason I think I realized it was because she was the focus character of the episode that I watched before. Like,
sure.
She was, it really was about Gabby.
Yeah.
And yeah, I noticed there was a couple of actors missing too.
Yeah,
right? So I guess
Rob has gone.
Wrote out characters.
Rob left a while ago.
Okay.
Adena never met Rob. And nobody else is gone, but Hector is new, and Casey is new.
Yeah, and I really liked Casey.
Yeah.
Casey's actually one of my favorite for her age and for the archetype she's playing. I actually thought Casey plays it really well.
Yeah, she did.
Like,
she did really well. And, Casey and Hector and new Gabby, I think, were really part of a push for them to try to make the show feel younger. I mean, it obviously didn't help because one story after new Gabby joins, show's over!
Right.
Bye!
Yes.
But yeah, no, you guys missed my rant last episode. I ranted for literally like 10 minutes about how they shouldn't have replaced Gabby, because Gabby was my favorite. But
and I liked the other Gabby better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think that this girl is fine. She plays the character completely different. I mean, I wouldn't want her to try to play it like Maytiana Morales, but it definitely a completely different character. But yeah,
that we never explain.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say the one thing about all of these stories is I'm like, obviously they're telling this for the Ghostwriter audience. But if I were a person judging this contest, I would look at everyone's story and be like, I don't know who any of these people are. This seems to assume that I know who any of these people are, and I don't know who any of these people are.
It's true. And we never find out if they win.
No, because we'll talk about how it ends. Yeah. But
I'm actually ashamed that I didn't pick up on that until you said that, because I guess I just kind of like bought into it. I was also critiquing and analyzing so many other things, but you're right.
Yeah.
They're just like, and Alejandro entered the room.
Yeah,
we know nothing about
Alejandro?
and the entire first part of it is like, set the atmosphere and the setting, and night is scary, and it's about, but characters don't matter.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's this
and
guy?
Like, even Casey is like, Casey did this, and then Jamal did this, and we're like, we don't really know who Casey and Jamal are. But then all of a sudden, Alejandro takes over the story, and it's like, where's Casey?
Yes.
Where did these people know. And
not
then
like Alejandro's version of the story either.
right,
I was like,
well,
dude.
oh yeah, no, we'll talk about that. But and then at
Alejandro's-
one point, Tina just enters the story. Also, Lenni just enters the story, and it's like, where did these girls come from? They're just running away from the slime monster, and we didn't know they were part of this group.
You know, for that matter, it could have been a bunch of slime people. Like, if we're already in a world where there's ghosts and slime monsters, they didn't even really specify that, you know, Jamal is a human.
Yeah. Yeah,
Truth.
no. There's not a whole lot of care in setting up any of these people or anything.
My brain just
Well,
exploded.
and also then eventually they introduce Ghostwriter. And I will say at least they kind of set him up, but still it's like, really? You're going to introduce them to the concept of Ghostwriter? I don't know that that's going to work. Oh, you know, it's this glowing ball that reads words for us. What? We're just supposed to accept that?
How is a slime monster scary, but a ghost creature that flies around and messes with, like, how is that?
Yeah. Don't know. Don't know.
I can't, y'all. The more I think about this, the more I just...
Yeah. But yeah, so Gabby takes over the story, and yeah, basically her whole tack is to make, because in Casey's version, basically Jamal was the bad guy. Well, when Gabby takes over, now Alex is the bad guy. And she basically ends her story with the guys teasing the girls and all this kind of stuff, and at one point, the idea in the story is that the slime monster is coming to life. So it starts stalking them, and, you know, they don't believe it for a while. And at one point, Alex has come to the girls in the bodega and thinks that they've been trying to tease them, following them around with the slime monster. And then they smell something, and they're like, what is that? Turns out the slime monster got in the arroz con pollo. And... of course, Casey is worried about her slime monster. I don't know about you guys, but the whole time I was sitting there, I'm more concerned about the arroz con pollo. I love a good arroz con pollo. And now
so
they can't serve it.
unsanitary. You can't serve it now.
No.
It's rude. It's a huge pot of it too. It's a lot of food.
Yeah, well, and it's basically, I guess the bodega is serving this, and it's not like the Fernandezes have money to just throw around.
Right. Yes.
Fair.
Yep.
It is a working family.
Absolutely.
Kids these days and their priorities.
I will say, though, okay, so after because that's really like the climax of the first story, and the idea is, like, they establish that the slime monster is not supposed to get hot. He's got a sign on his chest that says, do not overheat. I mean, in reality, it's because if you overheat this doll, it will break. That's what that means. But, of course, in the story, they interpret it as it's like a Gremlins thing. If he gets too hot, he's gonna come to life and be evil. Ooh.
Which, can you clarify? He's got a catchphrase, and it's, you know, do not overheat something. But is he saying burning mad?
Yeah.
Or burning man? Because all I heard was burning man.
I'm burning man.
Like,
I'm steaming man.
Whole new take on this. Are we about to get meta? Like, what's happening here? Every single time. And I'm not going to lie, I got a little nerdy while I was watching this. And I was like, I mean, I kind of know what Burning Man is. What is Burning Man really? And I lost an entire 10-minute tangent
looking at
just
Burning
reading
Man.
about the origins and the controversies of Burning Man.
That's great.
And I'm not even sure he said that. I think he said burning mad.
Yeah.
He did. He said mad.
Yeah,
Well,
he
the
says,
Simon
I'm
needs to
burning
articulate.
mad. I'm steaming mad. Yeah. Well, and then he also says, you laughing at me, which, I mean, without Casey kind of explaining it, that makes no sense. But, you know, whatever. But yeah, so at the end of that, Alex decides to pick up the story, and we start to pick up kind of a theme. Every time the guys take over the story, they decide to use it as a hero moment for them and try to make themselves look cool. I will say, though, Alex is not successful because, if anything, Alex makes himself seem like a big jerk.
Yep.
Because he's just like, Alex didn't care because Alex was cool. And literally, like, his first line when he's taking over the story, because he's like, I've got to redeem myself. I've got to redeem my good name. And the first thing that he does is people are like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And even his dad is like, why did you ruin our food? We're poor. And all Alex says is, cool.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. And he seems to think that that's a good response. And all I have to say to that is,
that's not good enough, Alex.
Really not. Not good enough.
It's not good enough.
Because if anything, it just makes him look like more of a jerk. You're just reinforcing the stereotype that your sister set up for you.
Yes.
I will say, though, like in the first story, they go through 3 different storytellers. This second episode, Alex is a storyteller throughout. And I was like, somebody get Alex off the keyboard.
Yes. He's the worst one.
Yes.
He's the worst one.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, you
Although
know.
that one moment in his story where he is getting kind of heroic later on, and he does that whole, like, take my jacket off because I'm like Superman move. That actually, I giggled. I was like, all right, that's the one redeeming quality.
Sure.
You really owned that move,
Yeah.
but past that, man, stop writing.
Yeah. I mean, he's more goofy than anything, but yeah, no, he's really not doing himself any favors. And there are moments where he's like ramping up the tension, and they're like, "Oh, we've got to find the slime monster that's come to life." And Alex is writing this story, and he decides, "Oh, we're running after. Oh, I see a basketball. Few hoops, guys." What?
That's not good enough, Alex.
It's not. What the fuck? Like, what makes you think that that is a good decision? Something that's gonna make you look good.
It's so middle school. It's so middle school.
It's
I ruin things. It's cool. I play basketball now because it's cool.
it's just posturing is all it is. But yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. I do think now is as good a time as any to bring up the subplot. Okay, so this starts off. Jamal comes into Lenni's apartment when they're all just hanging out writing the story. And basically, what he tells Lenni is that, so, you know that band we got for when the DJ takes a break?
For their prom,
Right.
you guys, there's no such thing as prom for middle schoolers.
Thank you.
This bugged me throughout.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a dance.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
okay, but they got a band. The band fell through.
But it's not just the band. It's the band for when the DJ takes a break.
Yeah, which is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Was that a thing?
No.
Did I just miss this in the 90s?
It's not a thing, because what happens is when the band takes a break, then the DJ comes in, or you start playing your CDs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So it was.
I don't
not
think
only
you really have the DJ taking.
There's no such thing as prom for middle school.
Amen.
Okay.
That bugged me too. I'm glad that it outraged you as well.
Okay. But you don't have a band that plays at the breaks.
No. That makes
Okay,
no
that's not
sense.
how it works. Okay?
But apparently they fell through. I wonder why. Because they realized they were playing a thing that didn't exist.
You're doing it wrong. Okay.
They heard that prom was 8th grade.
No self-respecting band is going to say yes to that gig. Okay? Because if they got to bring in their own damn PA, bitches, that's not gonna happen. Okay? And you know the school did not have its own PA.
No. But yeah, so they fall through. So Jamal begs Lenni to do it, and Lenni is just like, she's like, I'll do it, but I don't know that they're gonna care about me rapping with my synthesizer. So Tina decides that Lenni and her brother Twan, who is part of another band. Now, why they didn't just ask Twan's band to fill in, I don't know. But they had to have this subplot. So,
ooh, Twan's band must have been booked for the actual high school prom,
Right.
for when that band took a break.
Yes.
That's where Twan's band was.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Yes, Twan's band, The Leaping Dogs. But yeah. So anyway, Tina basically gets Lenni and her brother together to see if they can work on this. And of course, at first, they're, kind of, they're not getting along because for some reason they thought that the other one had to audition for them. Really silly. And then eventually, they start working together and they start getting along. Long story short, it's we're getting Lenni a boyfriend. That's really what it is. And I mean, I don't know. Once they got to that, I kind of was into the subplot, but getting into it was so difficult. I will say, at a certain point when, they're like, you're supposed to audition for me. No, you're supposed to audition for me. Tina is just like, why don't you guys just play together and see how it works? So we get to hear a little bit of what their combination might sound like.
Down for a change. Things just can't stay the same. Life is more than a game. Yo, it's time for a change. Woo! That was great. You guys sound really good together.
No.
First of all, Tina, stop lying because that sounded like garbage.
Do you have a sound bite for That's Not Good Enough, Tina?
No, we'll just go with...
That's not good enough, Alex.
Yeah.
My God.
But yeah, no, that was straight, like I was like, I'm not a musical person. Maybe I'm missing something, but that sounded like shit to me.
Come on, Clay. They were totally shredding. It was amazing.
So I mean, I will say their collaboration at the end, while still not my favorite, sounded better than that.
Like their final piece of
Yeah.
music? Yeah. Agreed. I actually thought, like, for middle schoolers trying to, like, I was like, all right, I get it.
Worthy effort.
Yeah.
Right.
And then individually, like, I actually like her voice all right.
Yeah.
Like, she's actually got a pretty solid voice.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, anyway. But yeah, that first attempt was just
bad.
No, it's real bad.
The slime monster should have gone after them for how bad it was. Like, that should enrage the slime monster. It's like a Hulk effect. The slime monster just gets angrier every time he hears their music.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that's really from then on, like, that subplot is really just about Tina and everyone else, like, knows what's going on, and Lenni has to be the one. They have to basically convince Lenni that, yeah, this is what's happening. And she's like, what? No, really? It's like,
Which is never the case. Let's be clear. Girls always know.
yeah,
Yes.
no, if anything,
Okay.
it's the guy, but Twan is
It's
not a
boys.
lead character.
Yes.
So,
Boys are dumb. Boys are dumb. Lenny's not. But
I know.
it was an interesting change to see where people are like, hello, Lenny, hey.
yeah.
So
which is when we got the random cameo. I want you to talk about this, Adena, because you,
God.
I mean, I will say what I loved is the fact that she's just listening in to Tina and Gabby talk about this relationship, and she comes in and they say her name, and then she's like, yeah, so what's going on with Lenni? And then they just have the conversation.
Right. Like CeCe Peniston just lives on their street. So it's like, dude, CeCe Peniston was the shit. So all you do is to say CeCe Peniston, and that's it. And Lenni doesn't even say CeCe Peniston.
Well, Lenni comes in. She goes,
Good point. The
"Aren't you?"
musician didn't even say it.
Right.
Yeah, she's just like, "Aren't you?" And she just nods, and then they just keep going.
They just keep going.
Yeah.
So first of all, I had righteous anger for CeCe Peniston. Okay, and then that scene does absolutely nothing. Like, if you're gonna have a fucking guest star, do something about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're gonna have CeCe Peniston, why didn't you have a scene with her and Lenni?
Yeah.
Talking about the music and whatever. She just stands there, and then she never comes back.
No.
She's just... So I'm like, couldn't you, we have had just a, finally it has happened to me, just something. Could we have had just 1 second of that?
Oh, yeah.
Just so, but nothing. So it's like, yeah. So screw you, Ghostwriter.
That's right. No wonder you got canceled after this episode. Jeez.
Jesus Christ. You change out Gabby, and then you bring CeCe Peniston on, and you don't do shit. You're done. So.
That's what happens. Yeah.
They could have hired her too. If she lives on the freaking street,
she's there. Why not?
Why are we combining Lenni and Swan from the Better Band? Like, if you have all of these musicians, what are you doing?
We have just fixed Ghostwriter.
You're welcome.
Not good enough, Ghostwriter.
No. Oh, jeez. But yeah, so anyway, getting back to the main story, because that's what we're all here for, right?
Right.
Talking about a gum monster chasing people. But yeah, there is a point at which
train of writing.
Yeah. Yes. There is a point at which Gabby gets slimed. And apparently we discover later on through dialogue of Gabby that if you touch the slime, then it will basically just keep creeping up until it covers you and then hardens and then it's permanent. At least that's what Gabby says. We'll get back to that.
Right.
But after she gets slimed, the slime monster then drags her around in a red wagon until taking her to a paddle boat. And I will say twice, we then see people escape on paddle boats using one side of a paddle boat. I don't know if you've ever used a paddle boat, but it doesn't work like that.
It's not possible. You can't do that.
Not possible. You'll just go in circles.
Go in a circle.
Yeah. But yeah. So eventually, by the end of this episode, they find Gabby. She's encased in gum. And eventually, at the beginning of the third episode, they have Jamal take over. And he takes over just to say, I'm going to take a break so that I can do some research. Okay. Thanks, Jamal. And what does he come back with? But his plan is to put ice on the gum to harden it and then break it off. Except we just established with Gabby, if the gum hardens, then it's permanent.
Thank you. I wrote that down. Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I will say, I think no. It's both things are at the very beginning of episode 3. So did we really just forget from one paragraph to the next what we just
I want to know
established?
where the script supervisor was.
Nowhere.
Thank you.
Nowhere.
Nowhere. That's the problem.
They don't
That's great.
exist.
Nowhere.
I'm going to go look up the credits for this and see if there was a script supervisor.
Do you know how many times I have watched this show and just thought that they literally wrote probably 12 drafts of the script, and for half of it used the first draft, for the second half used the fourth draft, and then the 12th, and then they just went back and forth between all of the other drafts.
It was just like the story.
Yeah.
That's how they did a team story.
I really think they were showing us how they wrote this show.
They did a team story with no editor.
What?
And also maybe we're drunk while writing it.
Ding, 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 ding.
And if seriously, if we're taking breaks why was there not a musical guest that came on in the writing break? Because we've established this pattern. The main plot or main person takes break. So where was the famous pop star then?
Yeah.
She could have sang in that break.
Thank you.
Nope. She came on for lines. That's what she's here for.
That's what she was known for.
It must have been in her contract that she wasn't going to do any singing.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Nope. But yeah, like I said, the guys basically just try to make themselves look good. We saw what Alex did before. Jamal establishes himself as the peaceful warrior. I think forgetting that he'd already been established in this story as the guy who can't let go of a grudge from an 8-year-old.
Right. Yes.
Really has to, really has to punk this 8-year-old so she knows her place. I will say also his initial way of trying to get Gabby out of the gum after it hardens is he tries to use a hammer and chisel on the gum. And I was like, that is dangerous. But then what does he get her out with? A karate chop.
Karate chop. Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's more powerful.
Yeah. And then eventually Hector takes over, and Hector decides to make himself really smart. Really believable, Hector. But yeah, I mean, from here, we're just getting random things. We eventually established that Grandma Cece is now reading the story, and she pops in randomly to be like, ooh, is that more of the story? I mean, I always love having her come into the story, so I'm not going to complain about that at all.
Love it.
Yeah. I will say, though...
chill, though, about the freak out. Like, when she came in and they were, because the premise was, I guess they were trying to scare and, gotcha, Grandma.
Right.
But I'm sorry, a child is on the ground screaming, and then when they realize, like, it's a prank, she was way too chill. She was way too chill about that.
Yeah.
Grandma, where's your discipline? I know you got it.
Yeah, she would have been throwing shoes.
Yeah, let's face it. Yes.
Yeah.
There would have been things flying all around that. There would have been a lot of words said. Those children would have been scurrying home. She would have been on the phone with their mamas while beating them with the shoe out the door at the same time. But she's like, oh, you got me.
Yeah. She was pretty chill about it. But yeah, so at the end of this episode, basically, I think it's Gabby and Casey run up to the top of Tina's building. They say that explicitly. They go up to the top of Tina's building where Gooey Gus is sunbathing. I loved that. That was great.
Old school tinfoil.
Yeah, that was the best. That was the best.
Oh my God.
But they decide to pour a bucket of water that was sitting on the roof on it, thinking it was going to cool him off. Of course, it's been sitting on a hot roof. It's hot, so it gets him hot, and then he grows to be 6 feet tall.
That part is terrifying. So if that's the part children are scared of, I understand that a little bit better.
Sure. Well, and I will say this is the part of the story that Ghostwriter is telling. So, his stuff actually made a bit of sense. Yeah. But yeah, at the beginning of the next episode, Tina takes over. And I will say immediately it starts making no sense because they run off of Tina's roof and then they're cornered in Gabby's room.
Right. Yes, it's true.
What? How did this happen?
Magic.
We know they don't live in the same building. That's
we?
I mean, it's pretty well established that Lenni and Alex and them all live in the same building, but Tina, I mean, they've always made it seem like she lives farther away. I mean, otherwise, why would they specify Tina's roof and not just the roof?
Ghostwriter dropped the ball on that one.
It's true.
It's a little bit. But yeah, so they do silly things where, they the kids while typing, because we're seeing the story play out as the kids are writing it. So every once in a while, there will be things like, the kid gets stuck, and so the actors just stare at the screen like, well, or, they'll do a typo, and so all of a sudden it'll be lime monster, and the kids will start laughing,
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, no,
The
really.
typos were super fun.
Yeah,
Lime
creative
monster,
way to
Slim monster.
Yeah.
Those I liked. I thought that was very clever.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, but eventually, I will say, though, they run out of Tina's room, or sorry, not Tina's room, Gabby's room. I got turned around, only to then confront the slime monster again in the bodega.
Right.
Not sure why we're running around in a circle, but we are. And at this point, they're all trapped in the bodega, and they're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And Lenni has the idea of, well, he's always saying you laughing at me. Let's try to be nice to him. So they try that, and I love that they decide, no, that's even too sappy for us. Let's not do that. Because it ends with them all like hugging and crying and stuff, and they're like, this is supposed to be a scary story. That doesn't work.
I sure did like it, though.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was creative, but I don't know how well it would have gone
Not
for them.
the horror story.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But yeah, eventually they end up telling that basically they start throwing cold things at him. He runs away, but then corners Lenni in her apartment and basically slimes her. The kids hear Lenni above. They all run to try to help. And eventually Tina's the only one left because she hid before the slime monster came out. All this time, Jamal has been looking for more ways to basically, dissolve gum or melt gum or whatever. And he discovers that vegetable oil is a softening agent. So that he goes and robs the bodega of all the vegetable oil.
Seriously?
Yeah. Just, steals all the vegetable oil. And he and Tina basically take out the slime monster. And then I will say, we have been getting hints throughout as we've been switching back and forth between the story and what's going on in the, quote, real world. And they have been sliding this in of, oh no, the slime monster may actually be, coming to life and tracking them down and doing all this stuff. At one point he's, hiding in Lenni's dryer. How he got there and why, we don't know. But, yeah. And so, at the end, after they've done the prom, they've done Tina is having a party.
You mean the dance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't think we can actually
whatever.
call it a prom.
Dance thing where, things happened. Yeah. But...
where bands take breaks so other bands play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But they're just chilling up there, and then Tina opens the barbecue to find the slime monster, and they all get slimed. And we're like, oh no, the team really got slimed. And then, of course, we see a screen that says, where Ghostwriter writes, gotcha. And the team, and it zooms out, and the team all just goes, gotcha. In other words, fuck you. None of this was real. You suck. Bye forever.
Yeah.
It was such a letdown, too. Like, if this was the last episode of the entire series, right?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you have done this big thing and a big goodbye?
Yeah.
I mean, it was so, so they got Ghostwriter pens, the three of them, and then...
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
So I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
It really was. It was lame. It was a lame ending.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
Even in general.
Yeah.
But for a series finale.
Yeah.
What? No wonder you got canceled.
Right.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, you got us. We thought you were good and you're not." Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
told the producers, cutting the show.
Oh, yeah. All right. Was there anything else about the episode itself that you guys wanted to talk about before we move on?
The only thing that I would say is that what I did like about these 4 episodes was the idea of collaboration
Sure.
and how you build the story, like suspense, and obstacles, and all that kind of stuff. Like really trying to tell kids how to write a story.
Yeah.
And they referenced a lot of really fun stuff like Jaws and the Telltale Heart and Wrinkle in Time and Peanuts and stuff. And so that I thought was really, I loved that.
Yeah.
As far as, writing goes.
Yeah. Gabby's first 5 minutes of her story time was basically telling other stories. It's like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But just the fact that they were always so positive, really like, hey, it's your turn, here we go. And like Hector not being very much of a being able to type, just we'll type it out for you. Let's write this story. So that's what of the overarching thing that I liked about this last story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's really where if you're gonna have like a quality check of was anything really worth like really putting out there, I agree. I thought it had good tips. I really did like the little cute side love plot. At first I wasn't into it, but like you said earlier, Clay, like as it kind of developed, like, this is adorable. But I also think that because that really starts to develop in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason I liked it so much was also the rest of it was so confusing and out of left field that it was kind of this sense of normalcy of, oh,
it was something to latch on
normal,
to.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I like this better.
Yeah. Well, and also, Tuan is a character that we haven't seen a whole lot of. So, there wasn't a whole lot that they had to like reconcile of, well, how come, what's his deal? It's like, he's Lenny's boyfriend, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. It's middle school.
Yeah.
It's his quote boyfriend.
I will say though, I was a little leery simply because Tuan has been established in previous stories. He hasn't, interacted with the team a lot. But it has always kind of been, I feel like from the start, he's been in high school. Lenny's just now getting out of middle school. I am kind of worried. How old is Tuan? Where is this going?
Point.
How long can this possibly last?
Yes.
But
and if that's the case, the dad is way too chill about it. He's like, oh, I'm going to leave you guys in the room to say goodnight and I'll listen to TV. I can't hear anything. Like, really, Dad?
I will say, though, the way that he was, like, explaining that, I was like, okay, this is his way of saying, I'm just in the other room. I can hear everything you say. I'm going to be up in case you want to talk later, so don't you do anything. Yeah.
True. That's true. Dad, though,
Hold on,
this
just
is a
a second.
high school
Teddy,
boy. 1,
calm
you
down.
should have said no. But like 2, why are you leaving? Oh, you should be chaperoning this mess.
Yes.
I mean, I will say I liked the fact that he wasn't like the like my gun kind of dad,
That's
wasn't
true.
like.
And it wouldn't have worked in this particular story anyway.
No.
It kind of
I liked the fact that he
but...
trusted his daughter, but sure, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's go into our first segment, which is, of course, Ghostwriter Fashion. This is
my favorite part of
Yes.
the entire podcast.
Well, and this is new for Adena because I wasn't doing this when we first started. I didn't do it until like the 3rd episode in. So basically what this is, as we've mentioned several times before, this show takes place in the 90s. And 90s fashion was weird. So we like to take some shots and just talk about a little bit of the fashion. And as always, to honor the originator of this segment, we started this looking at Lenni's hats because they were so outrageous. I will say, though, after a while, she stopped wearing so many hats. So we had to diversify. But we always start with Lenni and her hats. I will say, though, Lenni has come back with a vengeance for this last episode because she has hats.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, so let's take a look. And as always, you can follow along if you want to with this segment on our Instagram. It is the Flying Cow Pod on Instagram. Check it out. Follow along. So this first one is honestly the outfit that she wears through almost the entire story. Like episode 1, 2, and the first half of 3, she is wearing this outfit. And it is, I don't know. I mean, once again, I don't know fashion. I don't know hip hop, but this feels very like early 90s hip hop fashion to me.
It does to me. I limited, but it very much gives me like that Fresh Prince vibe.
but
like that
feminine
throwback vibe.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes they have had a hard time in giving her kind of, that bohemian look while at the same time allowing her to look like a girl. And I think this is actually, especially this episode as a whole, I think they did a really good job of meshing those two things. Because we can't really see it, but she's wearing very high-waisted pants that are brought up by suspenders, which I can't make it out completely, but I think they've got dogs on them. Some sort of white creature, I can't tell. But then she's wearing
right. It looks like dogs.
Like a white blouse and like a pink, a small little pink scarf tied up. And then she's wearing her red baseball cap sideways. Like this is like, yeah, this is definitely that that flavor.
And I honestly, guys, cannot decide if I love it. Do I hate it? I feel strongly. I'm not really sure what direction I'm feeling because there are elements that I actually think she pulls off really well.
Sure.
She rocks the high-waisted pants.
Yeah.
I love the high-waisted pants I think it's elements I like, but not necessarily together.
Sure.
Like, I love the high-waisted pants with the suspenders.
Mm-hmm.
Separately, love her little, almost like French cuff scarf.
I love that scarf. I don't know what
it's so
it is about it. Yeah.
It's like such a feminine touch for her. Yeah. And you know what? I like that she's rocking the odd side hat with the big curls. And those are really cute earrings.
Yeah, her hair is probably the biggest we have ever seen it.
Yes.
Like, it's usually very flat and down. And yeah, it's real kind of big hair.
And so like, I actually like, I think,
sure.
I like all of these elements, just not together.
Sure.
But I can't tell you necessarily which ones to take away.
I think the most honest thing that can be said about this outfit is it's so Lenni.
Yes. She is true to herself.
It is so Lenni.
That needs to be a t-shirt. It's so Lenni.
Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay. So, this is, and she's still got that curly hair, which I really like. And she's wearing now, she, through like the mid part of the series, like every episode she was wearing a different kufi every single time. But then this back half, she's really started to kind of make the Kangol, that kind of faux Kangol, her hat. And honestly, I really like this one because it's not monotone. It's two-tone. It's got like a plaid. It's a plaid-ish design right in the middle of the hat, and the two sides are black. And then she's wearing, in this shot, it looks like she's wearing like a majestic robe over her, double layered vest and shirt combo. But I think it was some kind of like jacket. But yeah. I don't know. It kind of
like
works
the
for
hat.
me. Yeah.
I actually do. I agree. I really like the hat, and I like the curly hair on her with that hat. I like the design. The only problem is because it makes her forehead look so big, poor thing. And I think it's because it's got the color blocking black.
Sure.
And we've got this giant T-zone because the hat part of the pattern is beige with her face, and then down because the underlayer behind the robe jacket is beige. And so I don't like how it's framing her. But again, I love the elements. And if we could, I actually think I would love everything if we just took the coat off.
Yep.
The pattern of the coat is too much.
Yep. Take the coat off.
The rest of it's fantastic.
Agreed.
So it's kind of like, I feel like in my brain, if we were going to cosplay this or fan fiction write this later on, by the time Lenni's in college, she's fierce. She has got this bold fashion statement. I feel like whatever she wakes up, one day she's bohemian, one day she's rock star. But like she's in this truly awkward middle school phase of just wants to be unique in all this fashion and doesn't understand how to put it together.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the backstory I'm giving her, all right, I'll take it, because she's just awkward and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But from a costume designer perspective, was this what y'all were going for, or was this just a hot mess? And you were like, "Here's what we have."
Well,
this
and what
Grandma
I'm just
said,
now
"Put this on
noticing
screen."
is that this bit underneath that jacket, like if it was a brown robe on top, it would look like Jedi robes.
Right.
Straight up. Like it looks like she's just got the most flamboyant Jedi robes ever. Honestly, I want to see that Jedi. I want to see that Jedi.
That's the next cosplay outfit, man.
Absolutely.
That's the most hipster you can get. No one would know.
Hipster Jedi. Yeah, absolutely.
Lenni the Jedi.
All right. Let's take a look. All right. So I
loved this. This I loved.
Yeah.
Because you know what it reminded me of? Pretty in Pink.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this outfit was just banging.
Right.
I loved this. She looked feminine, but she also looked like herself.
Yes.
Plus she's wearing pants. Mm-hmm. So this was, to me, this was an homage to Pretty in Pink, because she had the brooch at the top, she had the ruffles, and she had that pink jacket. She looked amazing.
Well, and honestly,
I love the texture of that too.
Yeah.
Like I know you guys have said several times middle school prom is not a thing, but this looks like an outfit Lenni would wear for prom.
It does.
It looks.
It very does.
Very honest for her character.
Yes.
Agreed.
Props to these guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. But
and actually, in this frame, I like that the dad is color coordinated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how intentional. Hopefully that was intentional, but also we've seen some of the other stuff that she wears, so I don't know anymore. But I do like that it creates that unit where even if you were just now tuning in and knew nothing about the show, to me that's like, oh, family unit. Like, and I think it kind of adds to the cuteness of that father-daughter feel.
Right. Well, and also, this is dad number 2, so maybe we're finally seeing why she fired the last guy and brought this guy in.
Oh, like it's a Gabby situation. You don't mean in the storyline. This is her second dad.
Well, I mean, the headcanon on this show is that Lenni is actually an emancipated minor, and that dad just stops in when he's in town. And that it's actually Lenni's apartment, because literally this is only the second time we've seen him since he was hired, and that was back 4 episodes or stories ago. It was quite a ways back. So yeah.
Oh, he just shows up for prom.
Yeah. And to embarrass her in front of her not yet boyfriend.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. All right.
But I agree. I think that's a beautiful outfit.
Okay. And this, so I got this one number 1 because it was the best for the overall outfit. The hat makes no sense in this vantage point, but it's one of those kind of like parachute hats with the bill. But yeah, this whole thing, it's like a black parachute hat, like I said, and she's wearing like a pink top and a white decorated embroidered vest. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. I have nothing positive to say about this one. She looks like she's about to go on a fishing trip.
Ding.
But also, why would you wear that nice of a necklace on your fishing trip? Like, in theory, I don't wear anything that can get lost on a boat, right? Like, and that would be a terrible fishing hat, though it looks like a fishing hat.
Yeah,
I just, no, Lenni, do better.
Yeah.
It's not her fault.
Not. Costume designers do better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. And this is Lenni's final look for the episode. And I know, looking at it, just on its surface, you think, oh, Lenni got slimed. But no, this is a hat gone horribly wrong. Just all over the place. Did not work.
Maybe she nailed it. You know, oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah, just I will say I really did kind of like this effect. Like it's very evoking of like not straight up, but kind of like aliens, you know, like seeing the people in like that have been abducted in the pods and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Really good looking stuff. All right. And this is Gabby, who has also been slimed. And really, if you go with these back to back, it's, who wore it better? It's kind of a toss-up.
In this particular photo, it almost looks like Gabby is coming out of, like, an egg.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like she's a little bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of shell.
Yeah.
Almost kind of looks like a beak because she's got the slime on her nose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say at least you can see a little bit of her face.
That's true, yes. Oh.
But yeah.
Poor actress. Yeah. I'm sure that was terrible on her pores.
Oh, I bet. Well, and I'm wondering what they did. I mean, I'm sure they must have, like, put her hair back or something, because, yeah, that would be a mess. Okay, so this is part of the thing. Okay, so Hector, the kid who played Hector, his name was William Hernandez. And the thing is, he was brought in to play Hector. He was actually auditioned to be part of the original cast of the show. He's actually the same age as Alex, as the actors who play Alex and Tina. But he is playing one of the youngest characters on the show because of his height. But I feel like because of that, they have basically, I don't know, I mean, surely this is wardrobe of the show and not his own stuff, but they seem to put him in the same size clothes as the bigger cast members.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at this shirt, in this shot, it is so long. Like, literally in this shot, you wonder where the shirt ends. Because you can't tell. It just keeps going and going and going. And just to cement my point, in this shot, he is standing next to Tina. He's just a little bit taller than Tina. And his shirt goes down lower than her skirt. Not a judgment either way, just an observation.
Wow.
But that is a big-ass shirt.
It does. It kind of looks like he went into his dad's closet.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I really think that they were using that to try to play up how young they wanted this character to be, even though
he doesn't. He looks the same age as the rest of them.
Yeah.
Like,
because
he actually has,
is.
to me, one of the older faces. So I think it's, and I get the height, but still, like,
right. Well, and also they're running into the fact that his voice is changing around the same time as the older kids as well.
Yes.
But, when they first introduced him, they really didn't know where to gauge him because, they're saying that he's just right behind Gabby in elementary school, but then they're having him say things like, I like trucks. It's like, okay, so are you 10 or are you 5? Who are you, Hector? I will say, I think Hector, unfortunately, has been the least successful experiment that they tried. And he's the only one that never had a full story to himself. And I don't think they ever really tried, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But also, you'll see on the edge of this frame, you could always tell when it was the story because the purple stuff was always leaking into the screen.
Which is it is. It's cheesy, but I'm not gonna lie. This thing time jumps, universe jumps, apartment bodega jumps so much that the slime border, I did appreciate it.
Sure.
Because it kind of gave me the sense of, at least I know we're in the story.
Yep.
Right. Nothing else is definitive. But slime on the screen, we're in the story.
Well, and imagine the target
God,
audience.
Okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah, okay, so we're looking at the last photo, and this is a shot of Gooey Gus, a.k.a. the slime monster, and yeah, it's pretty gross. I will say, though, like I said, he's a dapper gentleman. He's got his turtleneck on. He's got his black leather jacket.
He's kind of got a Shaft thing going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
if you
I
really
totally see that.
With the black overcoat and the turtleneck, he's kind of channeling Shaft a little bit.
And my question is, would Shaft be proud of this?
I don't know.
or just like really upset and disappointed?
Well, hey, Samuel L. Jackson was on this show at one point. So
shut up.
Yeah, he was Jamal's original dad.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
That's an episode I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when I actually want to go back just so I can see young Samuel.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was pretty
Middle-aged
good too.
Samuel.
Yeah.
Middle-aged Samuel. Because not young
Yeah,
Samuel.
he was decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was decent.
Yeah, but yeah, those are the photos. So real quick, let us go ahead and get into some of our final segments. First of all, the top suspect. This is the person in the episode that was either your favorite or you thought was the best or whatever reasoning you want to use. So, Allie, I'm going to let you go first. Who was your top suspect?
My favorite character in this one, I actually really liked Casey. And she really wasn't featured a whole lot except at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I liked Casey, and I really wanted more of Casey and a lot less of Alejandro in this one. But
so much of Alex. So much.
Casey.
Yeah, way too much Alex.
That's not good enough, Alex.
That's not.
Yeah.
All right, Adena, what about you?
I think you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say CeCe Peniston, bitch. I mean, come on. So,
yeah.
CeCe Peniston was my favorite, and she got shafted.
The cameo that they just swept under the rug and it's like, oh, she's just part of the show. Nothing special.
When she's never been there ever before. So, CeCe Peniston.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will say, though, she was fully invested in Lenni's
She totally
drama.
was. She was
Fully
totally
invested.
listening. She was part of the scene. She was in it. So,
yeah, in fact, she gave Lenni some advice.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, good for you.
Yeah. Yep. She was my favorite.
Yep. In fact, I think a lot of her advice were just lyrics from her songs. I don't know her songs, but that's what it sounded like. It was either song titles or song lyrics. That's what her dialogue sounded like.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And I am here for it.
Yeah. So mine, mainly because, like I said, this is not one of my favorite stories. But I did actually enjoy Gooey Gus. So I got to give it to Byron Utley and Philip Buke, who were the voice and the 6-foot version of Gooey Gus, because didn't have to do a whole lot, but he was very convincing. Terrified a bunch of children, traumatized them to the point where that's all they remember about this show, apparently.
Yep. Job well done.
Yes.
He is the iconic portion of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was the slime.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so what about your rewind moments? This is the moment in the episode that, once again, was either your favorite or just made you go, what?
You go ahead.
I mean, there were a bunch, but the first one, not a prom. Okay.
No.
Second, when you've told us that when the gum hardens, it can't come off, and then a solution is to make the gum hard so you can break it, right? And the changing of venues, and when they just stand there when Gooey Gus was coming after them, and then Gooey Gus would just run away after he was coming after them. There were a lot of stupid ass moments. Those are my top.
Allie?
Everything that Alejandro wrote.
So bad.
I really hated it. Right.
Bad.
We could have cut the whole. We could have had an entire fourth of the show out, and it would have been better.
Agreed.
Yes. So, oh geez, yeah. Honestly, that works right into mine, because mine is his complete disinterest in the fact that he has ruined his family's arroz con pollo. People have killed for less, Alex. Good arroz con pollo is worth killing for. It is.
Amen.
Literally, I went to Miami once, and we stayed with this Cuban grandma, and she made us arroz con pollo, and I have yet to have any even close to that. And every time I go to a restaurant that has it, I'm like, I'm going to try it. Never good enough. Never good enough.
It's not good enough, Alex.
That's not good enough, Alex.
It's just not.
Thank you.
All right, so moving right along. Normally in this part, we would talk about, what we would write to Ghostwriter or who we think Ghostwriter is. But we already know. We've already talked about that. But we do want to have the conversation, because the last time these lovely ladies were on this show, we talked about what we thought about the true identity of Ghostwriter, but you didn't get to hear it. So we are going to reveal this one last time, and Adena and Alli, we are going to discuss this, and then we're going to get out of here. All right, so Ghostwriter producer and writer Kermit Frazier revealed in a 2010 interview that Ghostwriter was the ghost of a runaway slave during the American Civil War. He taught other slaves how to read and write and was killed by slave catchers and their dogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I do remember the conversation now, but you know what's great about this? I just finished watching The Good Lord Bird, and the main character is a young slave who knows how to read and write, and he teaches other slaves how to read and write. So yeah, it's so freaking deep. It's so freaking deep. Now, I don't care. I'm just going to say it anyway. Did they reveal this during the show?
No, this was the last episode.
The hell not.
I will say that, Adena, you're in a unique position because you saw the first episode and you saw this one. I will say your episode was one of the few that actually dropped any hints as to Ghostwriter's identity.
Yeah, I mean, you had to establish him somehow,
Right.
and you knew that he was old. And
Mhm.
I think I always knew that there was an African American element.
You did, yeah.
to-
Yeah, I think
yeah,
your guess originally was that he was part of Jamal's family, which
right,
never confirmed nor denied.
right. So, but the fact that they never talk about it, like, what a missed opportunity here, especially in this last episode.
Sure.
Right? Why wouldn't you reveal? I mean, look, we've all been watching Walking Dead for 10 seasons, and they never talk about how walkers came about, right? And we've all just been like, don't care, it's fine. But for this, why wouldn't you talk about that?
You know, I feel like when it came down to we've got one last episode, I feel like there was probably a discussion. Do we reveal the identity of Ghostwriter, or do we just do something silly and fun? Obviously, they decided to do something silly and fun, and I will say, other guests on other episodes, given the episodes that they were given, said that they would have said that they made the right decision. Because in other episodes, they didn't really create the feeling that would have been necessary for that difficult of a reveal.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I remember when you revealed that the first time, all I remember, you probably remember this too, was a lot of shock on my face.
Yeah.
There was definitely a string of expletives because it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Separately, what a rich backstory and what a fascinating concept, and I love it. But that, to me, in the episode that I watched before, and even this one, has nothing to do with the rest of the show. So it's like, what in the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Well,
if this is the backstory, and like, to me, I'm always like, okay, or did you just create this in 2010? And we're like, oh, that's totally what the identity was. Because it's so rarely indicated or mentioned. And if you had this, why does that not, to me, in what I've seen, why does that not align with anything else about the show to me? Like, what?
Yeah, you know, Alli, I actually thought it was really funny because you were the first. Now, you weren't the last, but you were the first guest. When I revealed it, one of the first things you said was, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I like it.
And like I said, you were not the last because there are times that this show actually handles serious subjects really well.
Yes.
And then there are times that this show airballs the attempt to show you the two differences. There was an episode that they did about PTSD. And I actually really liked that episode because they tackled it from three different perspectives. They tackled it from how a kid would view it. Then they tackled it from a medical perspective. Then they had the character who was actually suffering talk about what he was dealing with. And what I loved about it is that his explanation wasn't eloquent. It was messy and sloppy, and it was like, well, yeah, somebody who's dealing with it, they're not going to have the perfect words to say about it. It felt good. And even by the end of that episode, you know, he was talking to his daughter and saying, I'm going to try, but I don't know if I'm going to be fixed, like, ever.
Like, very real.
You know, yeah. And like I said, I felt like that was really well done. On the opposite end, there was an episode. Now, the episode itself was about gang violence, but there was a racial element that came in. And one of the white characters was called by a Latinx character, White Boy. And he decided to ask Jamal about it. And then Jamal ended up having a really awkward conversation where he said, well, I'm black, but I'm not black. I'm brown. And you're white, but you're not white. You're pink. And let's just laugh about that.
No.
So, yes.
You don't like it?
I don't like it.
So with that, I can understand. I mean, I said this last episode, but this really feels like a decision that they made at the beginning before any other decisions had made. And then as they went along, realized, not sure how this is going to work. There was an episode where Jamal got basically kidnapped. And Ghostwriter was looking around for him and saw a sign that said Isle of Dogs. And when he saw the word dogs, he freaked out. And knowing what I knew then, in that moment, just that freaking out and saying, I'm afraid of dogs, I don't know. I remember being chased by them. I just remember going, ooh, that's tough. I don't know that they had set the blueprint for that reveal. Now, what I would love, and I've mentioned this several times, so people are going to get tired of me saying it, what I would love is for them to bring back this version of the show. I know there's a current version of Ghostwriter on. I know they did another different version, 2 different reboots. I don't care. I want this version of Ghostwriter brought back and finish out this storyline, because I think it would work now.
Yeah.
Yes, so much. And like the things that they were kind of, what did you say earlier? Airballing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the things that they were too worried about, and what audiences would not at the time have been as receptive about. Like, there's a reason I was kind of awkward, and because that's just not what I guess PBS or whatever station was like, we're just not going to deal with this.
Well, and
but in
also,
today's environment,
you know,
that would be such a relevant, beautiful story to go into, and that would be fantastic. Like that would absolutely stream, and knock it out of the park.
Well, you know, I mean, I will say they did have to create an overall kids show, so they had to create an environment that kids would want to come into. But yeah, just a mini-series version just to wrap this story up, where it's focused on the idea of let's find out who Ghostwriter is. I think that would be perfect. There probably isn't enough of an audience for it, so it will probably never happen, but I would love
make it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It seems like they didn't even have a real team of writers and editors, because nothing makes sense. So like, it's fine. They won't care. You know what? And you mentioned there are other versions, and I don't know anything about the other versions, so maybe they've already done this. But what would be really cool, maybe a little overdone, but I don't care. I still think it would be fun. I'd still watch it, is if they actually got one of these actors, like Gabby or you know, Tina or somebody, or Jamal, or one of these inner crews, who's now an adult, and the family, like Ghostwriter now is like interacting with their kids in like this virtual kind of setting, like a virtual school kind of setting. I have writer's block. What do I do? I'm motivated. And then that gives the opportunity for us to kind of revamp the story, but actually reveal more of it.
Yeah.
And so you could have some really fun walk-ons and callbacks, and like bring back some of the originals.
C.C. Peniston.
Yes, and do it right.
Yes,
and I want the kids to be in high school, so it's a real honest-to-God prom.
Yes, yes.
But I do want the DJ to take a break and a band come on. I do want that to still happen.
We just fixed the series. Thank you.
Let's pitch this.
Done. You're welcome, PBS. That's right. Or whoever owns this show. It probably is PBS. I don't know.
At the end of the day, it's such a terrible show and simultaneously such a like adorable, cute show. Again, I don't know if I love you or hate you for making me watch this. Both.
That's where I live.
Yeah.
And on that note,
all right. Well, this is the time now that we've expressed, uncertain feelings about me, if you want to get in contact, you can always contact me on Instagram and Twitter. I am at The Flying Cowpod on both. Email is theflyingcowpod@gmail.com. There's also a Facebook group. Somebody's on there, I'm sure. So if you ladies have anything you would like to share, let people know about, or anything that you are enjoying in pop culture, and as always, if it uplifts the voices of women or people of culture, or people of color, all people of culture, then that's a bonus.
I don't know when the second season of Bigger drops, but when it does, I am in episode 209, I believe. Some of the finest writing I've ever had the pleasure to read. It's one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. It's fantastic. And then because I mentioned The Good Lord Bird, I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA and I'm voting for the SAG Awards. So I've been watching a lot of stuff. The Trial of the Chicago 7, Judas and the Black Messiah, all the things. There are so many things. Ted Lasso. Watch freaking Ted Lasso. If you don't watch anything else, just watch Ted Lasso. I will help you get on the Apple Plus subscription. I don't care. It is some of the most uplifting, beautiful television with women who support each other, because we never see that. We see gods, and there are women who lift each other up. So everything that's being nominated for the SAG Awards, I May Destroy You, is some of the most moving, harrowing TV you will ever watch. So just watch all of the things. All of the things.
Nice.
That's what I got.
All the things.
Just watch all the
so
things.
What you got, Allie?
All the things in cultures. Yeah. Damn, I don't want to follow that. I should have gone first. Because, like, I'm talking to a real-ass actress over here that's got all these beautiful, in-depth things. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Queen's Gambit and WandaVision that everyone in the world already knows about.
But they're both great.
They're
so good.
I gotta admit, I was that person, and my husband gives me heck about this all the time. I do make decisions very quickly. I'm that person, and maybe it just comes from, like, they train you to audition that within the first 15 seconds, whatever it is, you have this amount of time, and you either capture them or you're out. And I teach my kids that, and that's how I feel about reading plays. Like, so maybe it's just us. Like, we're trained in these. I worked in staffing for a hot minute, and so I'm trained in this whole. You make the judgment call, yes, no, move on. It's a time thing. I'm really bad about watching an episode or two and being like, this is terrible, and I just give up on it. And he wouldn't let me give up on this one, and I hated it, and I didn't understand it, and it was stupid until I'm talking about WandaVision until episode 4, and I ate every word that I said about it. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I've now probably watched every single episode at least 10 times. Nice. And every time I rewatch things way too much. Every time I watch it, I notice something new, and there's just a nuance, and it's not even old to me yet. I still think it's brilliant. I still desperately want them to do another season, and I love that the Marvel Universe and Star Wars and these things are spinning off into television series. Because personally, I have a short attention span, and it's hard for me to sit still for 2.5 hours and watch one story from start to end and it's over. Like, I think I actually really enjoy TV series more as I get older, because you can go so much more in depth. And I love layering, and I love discovering things later on. And so I really hope that this becomes a trend that we're starting to see. And, the movies are great, but maybe I'm just changing in my taste. But I'm really liking that I can have 8 hours of WandaVision and dig into it. And I get it's the marketing thing, right? It gives me something to look forward to.
Sure.
Like, I'm excited when the new one comes out. So, it's brilliant, and they hit the classic tropes so well, from costume design to the way they block the shows, to the camera angles. Like, everything is beautiful.
It is, and it's such a beautiful meditation on grief, which is something we don't talk about.
Yes.
So, yeah. So Aces
that
to
last
Alli. Aces to Alli. Yeah.
That last episode, man.
Yeah. Oh, it
Gets
was
you every time.
devastating. Yeah.
And it's so real.
Yeah.
And palatable for pop culture too. Like, I am all for, in some way, sometimes, yeah, you gotta sugarcoat some shit and you gotta reel them in, but then we trick them and you're like, oh, you thought this was just about aliens and blowing shit up. Now we're gonna talk about something that we have you in. Like, teaching kids, I'm telling you, that's, y'all know. Y'all work with kids, you have kids, you gotta mind fuck them into learning stuff and dealing with hard issues. Well done, Wanda.
Yes.
All right. Well, talk about having to follow stuff. Okay, so for me, it's been really hard for me to watch anything the past couple of weeks just because I've been, prepping this and several other projects which are coming up. We'll be announcing those very soon. But I will go ahead and replug for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I love that movie.
So good.
Chadwick Boseman is absolutely amazing. Viola Davis is great in that movie. I mean, he's almost certain to win Best Actor. Sadly, that it's his last performance, but from what I've seen, it's one of his best. It's amazing.
He's in Defy Bloods too.
Yeah, oh yeah, and he's great
he?
in that too. I will say I'm sad that Delroy Lindo isn't getting as much buzz as he was, because I love Delroy Lindo. Speaking of, here's a connection. Okay, so I love, obviously, Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is based on a play written by August Wilson, who is my favorite playwright and one of my favorite live performances I have ever seen was Delroy Lindo in Joe Turner's Come and Gone. Saw it in London. It was amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. So good.
You witnessed actual magic on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. So when he was getting all this buzz in the middle of the year, I was like, yes! And now he's getting nothing, and I'm like, no! You almost remembered. I will say,
Not good enough, Alex.
No, it's really not. I'm so excited about the adaptations, and I am super looking forward to, I think the piano lesson they is tentatively next, but when they get to Joe Turner's Come and Gone, if it is possible, cast Delroy Lindo in, I can't remember the name of the role, but it's the one he's perfect for, because magic, absolute magic. The other thing I will say, and this is not something I have seen, but I have heard great things about it from people whose opinions I trust, and it's one of the next things I'm going to be watching. Watch the Small Axe cycle. I believe it's on Amazon Prime.
I think that's right.
And it's a series of 4 films. It's an anthology. They're not really super closely related. I think they're thematically similar, but it's Steve McQueen directed all of them. And I know several critics that have picked one or all 4 as their best film of the year. So, great films to check out. I'm really looking forward to watching those myself. Check those out. And I'm sure we'll all enjoy them. But yes, thank you, ladies, so much for doing this. This has been so great, so much fun. And there's not really another episode. I will say, though, I might be doing one more recording because, like I said, I had some great conversations with some people that unfortunately were not able to come back in, so I might be putting some of those together for one last episode. We'll Just
Alrighty.
have to see.
You could have a whole spin-off fan fiction episode of how we write the reboot and how we all feel about the revealing of Ghostwriter. I mean, I got opinions.
I'm telling you, PBS, hire us to write the Ghostwriter, the real Ghostwriter reboot, because we'll do it.
We will.
Yes.
We're doing it.
Absolutely. But until that time, Ghostwriter out.
After so many years that we've been together, it's hard to say goodbye and it's hard to say whether we'll stick together forever. But we got to stay strong, cause time marches on and we're moving right along. But in years to come, if we remain far apart, I'll always carry thoughts of you deep within my heart. A feeling like this, you know it's never gonna end, cause you know
nothing's gonna stop the love of friends.
nothing's gonna stop, nothing's gonna stop.
Nothing's gonna stop the love of friends.
Nothing's gonna stop, nothing's gonna stop. It's gonna be alright.
Alright now,
Always stay true.
nothing can come between us. I'm always here for you.
It's gonna be alright.
Alright now,
Always stay true.
nothing can come between us. I'm always here for you.
We got the kind of thing that lasts a whole life through. It'll stand the test of time no matter what we do. Years will pass, we may go our separate ways, but when we meet again, it'll seem just like yesterday. When all my friends seem like they're here to stay. But now we're grown, not just kids that play. We gotta live our own life in our own way. Nothing's gonna stop, nothing's gonna stop.
Nothing's gonna stop the love of friends.
Nothing's gonna stop, nothing's gonna stop.
Nothing's gonna stop the love of friends.
It's gonna be alright.
Alright now.
We'll always stay true.
Nothing can come between us. I'm always here for you.
It's gonna be alright.
Alright
We'll
now.
always stay true.
Nothing can come between us. I'm always here for you.